where we discuss the 10 spiritual facts and how they apply to topical and current affairs.
Here it is. This is the way the world works. Wake up.
So your first fact is we are alive and free. How do we know we're alive and free?
And you said you read the first fact and you ended it with a question mark, right? So the first fact itself is the answer to that question.
So your answer to we are alive and free is that there is an ineffable source or intelligent design or a creator by which human beings are given freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life is a proven miracle and all human beings deserve to be free. The Bible is irrelevant in this matter because all evidence conceivable to mankind already supports this conclusion, period. To deny this self-evident truth is not only dangerous, but it's a proven selfish, if not demonic, imposition on the individual liberties of others.
Which part do you disagree with?
I don't disagree with it, but are we really free? Are we really free in the current context? We are spiritually free, but are we free?
No, absolutely not. No, like in a concept, a deeper concept? No. Yeah. Well, we don't know. I mean, again, it could be the fact that there's intelligence in our atmosphere tells me there's some sort of orchestration here. Somebody's paying attention, right? And obviously, as a believer, I get it. I'm part of that source. Hell yeah, I'm connected. Everybody knows what's going on here. We're the only ones that are confused because, as Eben Alexander, Dr. Eben, he said, "What? That's the first time I understood that. When they put the brain on us, is now we can't perceive shit. Once we take that off, now all the answers and the rest of the stuff. So they put this little mind cap on. But right now, we live in a cesspool of nothing but opinions. Nobody has a clue which side is up, except people like me who understand George Orwell, who believe in the technology above us, who get the fucking picture. Yeah, I see it. Like you said, we're not freaking free. Are you kidding me? They snuff me out like that, I'm gone. So anyways, you get the aim of the first fact is to try to capture the essence of that so people don't walk around confused. Yes, we're alive and we're free. And if you're not free, there's a freaking reason for it. And it's not the creator. That's the guy who set you free.
Yes.
Someone else.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was interesting because I'm English and not American. Mm-hmm. I wanted to familiarize myself with your American Constitution.
Okay.
And actually, we don't have a constitution that's equal to that in the UK. And when I looked at what are our inalienable rights, and people usually say liberty, freedom of thought and speech, and freedom of movement. But actually, this is an argument going on over here now. Have you heard of the Magna Carta, which set out the rights of the common man, basically, and our common law is based on that. And people are saying that all the coercion and the rights that we've had taken away from us, particularly throughout COVID, are illegal and against the law. But we don't have, and people are arguing that. But unlike your country, we don't have a clear definition of what our rights are. And so what people are saying, particularly when COVID was at its height and people were protesting, was they were saying that they have a right to gather and a right to protest, and the police were trying to break them up and end the protests, etc. over here. And so people were saying, look, that right of freedom to move, to speak out, and to liberty cannot be given to you. That's your God-given right, as you said. Right. But actually, yes, as a spiritual principle, absolutely, I agree with you. But our rights are decreasing. You know this by censorship.
Does anybody disagree with that?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Well, no, there are going to be certain people who will argue the point with you, but they're either ignorant or they clearly understand that you're correct in your assessment without freaking question. I mean, most of it's communism. Those people are all enslaved. They're no different than American prisons for the most part in terms of the despair. There ain't no fucking hope. The whole place is dark. You know, sure, people are finding rays of hopes under that oppression, but come on. But to argue whether or not this is what was part of Alex's thing too, when he showed that movie with the ship, they need to lighten the load. Do we throw the people over? Of course not. I mean, is it insane? It is. The world is ruled by very, very dangerous people. And they've got a complicit media that has most of the world convinced that they're in their best interest.
Yeah.
That could not be further from the truth. And anybody who doesn't see it that way becomes an inherent danger to your freedom. It does. That person can go vote and they can flip you off while they're going in. I get my check, you don't get yours. F you. This is America. That's bullshit. That person, we don't want to fight with them. We want to expose them. And I use terms like, hey, yeah, it's good to see you. I really appreciate you taking the time to vote away my fucking children's freedom. Did your check cash? Whatever their motive is. Mostly it's ignorance. They have no freaking clue what you and I just talked about, the dangers in this world. They skip off, hey, here's what I heard. You know, hey, Biden, I know he's a little bit old, but, you know, he likes people. And I heard he's a good grandpa. I think that'll work. He's better than Trump. That guy's a demon. I mean, that fucking stupidity rules the world if they have the power to vote.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. And you look at this last election, I'm sorry, I live my world. I'm not afraid of fucking anybody. What I see on video, I remember. And I don't care how bad it gets convoluted. I'm done. I'm glued in. And things that happened in that 2020 election, from Apple's role to Google's, that shit never's going away.
Alex's number one thing that he started off with, near-death experience. Yeah. And the whole point, the wisdom that people get in the near-death experience is that we are all equal, that there is no one better than anybody else. We judge ourselves when we die. We experience all the hurt and pain and good things that we've done to other people. And so what really gets me irate is how these people in power that have power think that they can tell us what to do and control us and treat us no better than an ant that you'd step on.
I'm sold. Okay. Most of the thinking world agrees with that position. This is freaking ridiculous. Okay. Yeah. And so the only way I answer that question, anything that doesn't make sense, how could all of these thinking human beings allow themselves to be controlled by this apparatus?
Yeah.
Okay. And, or it just anything that doesn't make sense. And it's simply corruption. Okay. In its simplest sense, listen, with all the good intentions of the British system and the American system, our founders came the closest to using words to actually protect it. Okay, but what happened is that got fucking corrupted big time. You know, right now, I, in my humble opinion, see the American politicians as a bigger disgrace than the Nazis, because they did it on our shores. Everything that everybody died for, these corrupt clowns. And again, I mean, Democrats, whatever. I mean, they're obviously want control. Capitulating Republicans, I'm going to fight that control. Since I've been alive, 24 trillion in debt. None of the problems are solved. There's a cesspool of people who get government entitlements now. I know where the problem is. It's simple. But how do you change that big fat pig that doesn't want to move? You send me in, hey, I'll go get elected, right? Yeah, put me on the ticket. I'll go in there. Guess what? That's like me walking into a teacher's lounge of 30 million. Yeah, my views are not welcome. That status quo is protected way behind our politicians. All the good intentions only get lip service. As just recently, I believe they printed more money to pay the deep state. I mean, it's so obvious. But so the question is, what do we do about it?
Yes.
And there's only one answer until somebody shows me a better way. It's fucking truth. It's you and I talking about what's in this simple little document. And if people don't want to hear it, we say it's our liberties, man. We're fighting. Instead of being in Vietnam with a weapon, I'm online and I'm saying, if you disagree with these positions we're taking, that this world is fucking corrupt and your ignorance is contributing to that problem. If we can't go out and fight that fight, who will? This is going to slide into the abyss. I mean, it's a simple question. When you look Book of Revelations, how do you see the world ending? Just out of curiosity. It's got to end at some point, right? Or does it go on to where we just build all the way through Star Wars and we figure it all out?
I don't see it like that. I don't think the world will end. I think the planet is a living thing and it will look after itself. I think the human species will do a very good job of ruling themselves out. And you've led me into something I was going to ask you about again, which is, you know, all these adverse reactions from the vaccines, etc., that are now coming into mainstream. You know, people dying, people dropping dead, all ages.
How do you justify that? How can there be a benevolent? I can justify it because there's a reason for it all, an obvious, simple, understandable reason. It all makes sense. It is. It's just a case where we have to have evil on the planet. We have to have that type of thing to create balance. You don't have your own volition without somebody, some force tugging on you saying it's about you. You're forced with those decisions all the time. And what happened is there's an apparatus that's in power that sucks you in and you believe it is about you. Fuck the planet's fate is God's problem, not mine. And whether ignorance or complicity or whatever it is, we got this big mountain of people here that do not want change.
Well, no, I agree with you. I think that you can't have light without shade, you can't have dark without light, and you can't have good without evil. Of course there's the balance, the yin yang, as you say.
But then why are you perplexed? Because what is it about the fact that human beings and it's sliding into the abyss and more people, or I mean, it just continues to get worse? Why do you find that surprising?
Because if you look at it that way, evil is winning. It's no longer a balance.
Time. Winning, it's a slam dunk. We're at the end of our rope. We're playing tug of war, and I mean, that little flame that was the ideology behind Donald Trump, that real freedom, fuck you type thing, we're ready to fight back. That thing is so close to being extinguished. Not their ideas, but their chance to even make a difference. They're going to snuff that out, that portal. And this is where I was telling you before. It doesn't matter who you have on your side. What's more important are defections. You got to take this info into them. I'm not going to run for office because I know you throw me out, but I sure as fucking going to hold whoever's running for office to these 10 facts. Let me hear it. Let me hear what you think. Go through the facts. If you haven't done it, I have no idea what you are as a human being. Once you go through these facts, MLK's premonition is correct. I know your character. I don't care what your skin color is, what your sex is. The moment I get your answers to these facts, I know your character. This is where it's a little crazy because again, it sounds controversial, but maybe we run through the rest of the facts. Read them off, see what you think. Because if that one you're troubled with, if you think about it, I'm saying there is a creator, then I would stop thinking about it. Of course there is. He's benevolent. He's not vindictive. Whatever you read that said you're going to get your ass kicked because you did it wrong is not true. NDE's proved that. Everything proves it. Yeah. Move on to the next one. So you get where I'm meticulously saying. And now, I don't care what the Catholic Church taught me or Islam, whatever. This fact says, that's not the way it is. It's the way this thing is.
All right, let me pick you up on that then, because I'm with you. I'm with you. You know I am. But
hey, now you realize the rule is this: when I'm talking too much, this is what my friends do with me. Sold, like I did with you. You don't need to explain anymore. We're on the same page. I'm sold. Move on.
Right. Okay.
Just go sold. Right.
How do we, you and I, know that there is a benevolent creator? How do we know that?
You got to start somewhere. And so we're going to start with common sense. And next, we're going to go to what evidence proves there is not a creator. Wait, I haven't heard of any. Okay. Wait, what evidence?
Well, hold on. Wait. I'm going to pull you up there because people would say to us, well, if there was a benevolent God, he wouldn't allow all this suffering to happen, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Those people are dumbasses.
I don't think that's a sufficient answer.
All right, you want me to prove it in the next sentence? Jeez. Hang on now. You got me laughing. I forgot. All right. Why would God permit evil?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's right in the facts. That one I had fun with because it's so freaking simple.
Because you know, people say that all the time, though, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is, again, I'm going to keep referring to the facts. Okay. Not because I want to sell books, but because I put all that shit in there. Okay. And this was one of them that's saying either God is incapable of defeating evil, either he permits it, which means he's evil himself, or you know what I mean? They're trying to solve that loop-the-loop thing there.
Yeah.
And truth be told, it is permitted. Permitted. God looks down and he is saddened by what's happening on this planet. And he's saying, I am here, reach for me. I can bring you back into the light, even though you're in a cesspool. That's what most religions say. Watch this through Christ, whatever. We just want to get out of the cesspool and into the peace. Any religion that does that, pulls you into the peace, is a religion of God. Any religion that coerces you and does not tell you you're free, your path is independent of what anybody has told you. You have a direct connection to the Creator. Dogma is irrelevant in your life, your journey. Okay? That's what a religion should tell you. If I'm of God, I'm going, hey, you want a portal to peace? You should see this fucking band we got playing. Let's go. We're going to the portals of peace. You don't like this band? Find your own portal. But it is. You are being dragged. And again, if you go into details, it's by design. It has to be, because you won't have free choice. And I truly believe that I believe the evidence supports it. We chose to come here for the difficulty. We're from the light. The only way to experience pain and sorrow and whatever is to get down in the freaking darkness, into the mud, take some punches. So I believe most people will die. They're going to realize when their life is revisited, fuck, I signed up for this thing. And all I did was bitch. I think I've said that before to you. I really see it that way. We are here as a journey inside this little capsule called the human body to take freaking punches.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree with you. And I was going to ask you that question. What's the purpose of being alive? And my view is that, because I think this is something that's often missed in spiritual practices, that the idea that we should practice non-attachment and not worry about things. But I think we're incarnated into a human body for exactly those purposes, so that we can feel and we can suffer and we can learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why they had to confuse it. That's why our brain doesn't let us remember. If we could remember, this journey would mean nothing.
Yeah.
Our conscious soul is learning through our limitations. But anyway, so again, now if you're talking to somebody who's an alcoholic or somebody that's in despair, it's all a paradigm in their head. You get that. We all have it. I mean, for all I know, if you want to look at my past before I was a human being, I mean, for all I know, I was hogtied and raped by 50 18th century pirates. I have no idea. Does it matter? Zippola. Who cares? We all have a shit show somewhere behind us, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And then we can look back and we can try to figure all that out. I think that's why Scientology had such a foothold, because they'll go, wait a minute, let's not forget what happens when we die. Let's go back before we were born and figure all that stuff out, because that's what's leading to our angst. You know, there's something either through our parents as a human being, something that was troubling, or before we were a human, we need to find that source of trouble, or we're never going to be able to accept this thing. It's going to haunt us forever. What's the difference between finding the source of trouble and correcting it, or understanding it, or accepting it, or just forgetting about it? You can't remember it in the first place. Why wrestle with it? Forget it. See, but this is why I can never be a therapist. Everything's too simple in my world. But again, you got people who are trying to figure this thing out. And you know all of these things that you've learned. But in its simplest sense, my friend, if I'm your patient, right now I have my own volition, and I can go right now, frequencies of peace or despair from this conversation. From this point forward.
Yeah, but I think that's exactly it. There are two different levels, aren't there? We can look at things from that spiritual level. And of course, suffering doesn't matter at all. What happens in your previous lives doesn't matter at all.
Right.
But when you're in the suffering, when you're having different, you know this from your own journey.
Everybody knows it though. So why is one form of suffering more egregious than the next? I don't get that part. I don't get why somebody can be sitting in front of a therapist going, my life fucking sucks. My parents were bad, this, you know. And at the same token, there's somebody who had a condition that's worse than his that is not complaining. That's going, I get it. Life's supposed to be a bitch. It took a few punches. So I'm just afraid that sometimes when you get so caught up in what's happened in the past, your plight becomes your identity.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
And so this is where I'd have no patience for your patience. I go, dude, it doesn't work that way. Whatever you think your legitimate reason for concern is negated. It doesn't matter. We all took punches. And the beauty of your punches, like I was speaking to somebody the other day that was talking in terms of where but she'd still wrestling because she had been abused, sexually abused.
Yeah.
And again, this goes to that book, the Shack, which we're going to put as a fact that says, if you read the Shack, that was something atrocious. And the whole meaning was, listen, if you don't accept this, you're the only one who's suffering. The girl's not suffering. The guy who did it's not suffering. Just you are, because you can't let this go. And they came in to say, help me. How could God love somebody who would do something so atrocious?
Yeah.
Truth be told, none of us are Jesus. He's the only one who had it figured out. The rest of us are fumbling through this endeavor. And based on a million different circumstances, somebody does this thing. They go off the fucking deep end. And so that person is, in face of the creator, what be, and he's going to have his answers. But bottom line is this: when all is said and done, the punches we take turn us into the human being we are. That guy who lost his daughter now is going to be somewhere so somebody else doesn't have to suffer that same plight, kind of like Jesus. He took the punches on behalf of someone else. So that's all an ideology that I see as common sense. And so I want to package that as facts and go, listen, it's okay if it's wrong, but you get this, that through all of your worst conditions in plight, listen, man, you're lucky you're not an 18th century pirate. Those guys had it really bad. You actually had a really fun ride, even though you thought it was miserable, that type of thing. Then we get to move forward. Yes, we are free. We're not free. Our spirit can always be freed regardless of our circumstances, but our humanly existence is nowhere near free. Yeah. We are manipulated and managed by people who are in power that have control over our paradigms.
Yeah.
They're fucking with us.
And right now, as you said, evil seems to be winning the tug of war.
I didn't say seems to be. Those are your words.
Okay.
Evil's, it's 99-1 right now.
Yeah.
They're on the 1 yard line in terms of it depends on what happens in America. We're the world's hope. If they snuff out what that little bit of wordage in America, it's done. Just might as well join the dark side.
Yeah.
Because the fight's over. But that isn't done yet. And again, I'm not proposing anything. I simply am a logical guy. And the one thing that's most important is the fact that our Constitution is backed by a Second Amendment. Okay, that Second Amendment means that I have people who will defend my right to speak to the death if I need so. And the fact that I have this right to speak and write these words, and through you, we can push this narrative, it can't be stopped. It's the truth. Again, we don't care if we get that one right. If we learn something new, we change it.
Well, I would like to just comment on the right to bear arms.
Please do.
Because I am really frightened by violence. I don't like cruelty. And so I've always been anti-guns. And then I recently have started to change my ideas, because if the powers that be, whoever they are, keep treading further and further forward and keep getting more and more power and think that they can take all of our rights away and take our property away, we here in the UK cannot defend ourselves.
Agreed. You're done. You're toast. It's over. Yeah. Checkmate. Yeah. It's done. There's nothing you can do. 100% serious. And again, that's a sensible observation. That's not it can be construed as an opinion, but truth be told, fuck yeah. No question about it. I mean, the fact that in America and Europe too, I mean, imagine they got all this clandestine stuff. They got all kinds of resources, and they can say it's classified. Like, I mean, think again. Don't get me started on that. But if you look at the proposition these people put in front of us that we said okay to, here, you hire me. My job is to create more rules for you, and I'm gonna hold you to those rules. And if you break my speeding thing, I'm gonna charge you money. Anytime you break my rules, and I have nothing better to do than to try to figure out more rules for you. I mean, it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
We gave these, and there's no accountability. It's corrupt. You and I could go with the best intentions. It ain't changing. The only thing, again, is truth. Hold them accountable. Get on Parliament and say, I want everybody to go through these top 10 facts and let's talk about it. Okay, guess what? Everybody in this whole fucking building is for control. Not one freedom person in here. What does that tell you? Exposed. And I'll answer that for you. You're all fucking corrupt. Everything needs to change. The power needs to go back in the hands of the people. The money needs to go back into the economies. And you sad fucking saps, your pensions are done. You created the mess. Who's going to pay for it? You are, with your pension. Well, I'll lose my house in Miami. Beautiful. I'll take it. Boom. What's it going for? All right. So anyways, I digress.
No, it's great. That's great. Right, matey. Well, we're coming up to the end of the hour.
Isn't it nice that you can always go, well, what do you really think, Matt? I don't think you were clear on that one. I'm joking, because obviously if you ask me what I think, you get it. And there's in no uncertain terms.
I love it. It's great.
I love it too.
That's it, wise ones. If you enjoyed the chat with Matt, please like and subscribe. Fact number 1, we are alive and free.